The man was horrified to find that the radiation detector in his hand suddenly emitted a shrill alarm. He quickly raised it and pointed it towards the room, as a little girl shouted about her headache and walked out.
Mommy, my head hurts.
The radiation detector in Jack's hand became even more intense. Clearly, there seemed to be a huge danger hidden in the little girl, but they never expected that it was precisely because of the ignorant actions of this family that an all-consuming disaster would strike the entire Brazil. The story has to start from 10 days ago. The man received an iron object from two young men. At night, this iron object would emit a beautiful pale blue glow. The man immediately picked it up and examined it carefully. He thought he had received a very valuable item today. To prevent the treasure from being stolen, the man directly put it in a bag and took it home. What was even more terrifying was that he not only gave the blue powder to his neighbors, but even applied it to his little daughter's tender skin with his own hands. A few days passed quickly. The man noticed that his hair was starting to fall out in large patches. His wife also showed severe reactions. She began to vomit frequently and felt extremely weak all over. However, the man had been blinded by greed. He didn't care about his wife's life or death. Instead, he urged her to hand over the glowing iron box, because he had already arranged for a buyer. Although his wife had never received any education, she believed that this thing was definitely a harmful evil object. So, she secretly hid it behind her husband. To boost her courage, she called her strong and young son. The mother and son carried the bag of radioactive sources and crowded onto the bus heading to the city center, and the deadly rays in the bag were frantically penetrating the bodies of everyone around. After arriving at the health department, the woman immediately explained her intentions to the director, but the director didn't believe that the thing she brought was problematic. Just as the two sides were arguing, the woman suddenly felt dizzy and nauseous. The director promptly had someone support her to rest in the courtyard, but before she could sit down, she started to violently vomit uncontrollably. The director could only let her go to the clinic. The woman also followed the advice and kept the radioactive object in the health department. When the woman arrived at the clinic, she found that the place was already filled with patients who had similar symptoms, including the two brothers who had first picked up the radioactive object. The doctor had never encountered such a situation, so he sought help from his friend Jack, asking him to come immediately with a radiation detector. However, Jack was stuck in traffic when passing by the health department. Suddenly, the detector he was holding emitted a strong alarm. The two immediately realized that something was wrong and hurriedly got out of the car and ran to the health department. Just in time, they saw firefighters carrying the radioactive object out.